Okay, here's the full moon here on March 18th, 2019. And it's around 9:30ish. And this is shooting through a Sony NEX5r with a 300mm mirror lens, giving us a nice moon size here. And kind of change the exposure here. And let's see, we're shooting at 200 ISO. And see, it looks quite nice here. Get it back in. And can't zoom in any further. This is the 300mm lens, and without going into my telescope, this is about as big as the moon's gonna get with this. With my 11-inch telescope, the moon would be roughly, we'd only see about half the moon, I think, as I recall. And of course, with a full moon, you don't see a lot of detail because there's no shadowing, it's straight on. And that's why the best times to study the moon are actually during the quarter phases. The starting quarter phases and up to the half phase. And as it waxes and wanes, the shadows move from one side of the craters to the other. So you can see some height in the crater edges, whereas looking at this image, you can just kind of see there's everything, but it's kind of washed out because there's no shadows to give detail. Anyways, it's a nice looking moon, and hope you enjoy it. I'll turn down the exposure a little more, and if you're looking at it with your eyes, well, I'll just change up the exposure here. If you were to walk out right now and look up, it actually starts looking about like that, except for your eyes will see the darker regions as a little more contrast. Your eyes can pick up a little better contrast as you're looking there, and that's why you see people envision the man in the moon. They're looking down on Earth. But with the camera, the sensors in the camera are a little more sensitive, so it kind of gets lost in there. And we'll just turn that exposure back down. And now you see the gray areas, which are the oceans, are what we call the oceans, which are the relative flat areas. And you can just imagine that 50 years ago, men started landing on that. And up through the 70s, actually, I guess it was 1970 when we first landed on it, or was it 69? And maybe one day within the next 10 years, somebody else will be setting foot on the moon. Anyways, that's it for tonight. Hope you had fun looking at the moon with me.